Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are embarking on a truly fascinating masterclass. We're diving deep into Taiichi Ohno's foundational work, specifically the Toyota production system beyond large-scale production, Part 3, Kanban as the autonomic nerve. We're going to explore how using a pull-based communication system, which, believe it or not, was modeled right after everyday supermarkets, can fundamentally control production and absolutely prevent overproduction. So, welcome to Bodhi Unified Flow. Here, we simplify complexity and amplify performance. My goal in this explainer today is to really guide you, the dedicated practitioner, through the profound wisdom of Taiichi Ohno. We aren't just going to look at his framework as some dry academic theory. No, we're going to treat this as a highly practical, instructional guide that you can literally take and apply to your own daily operations. All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for this session. We'll start with number 1, the supermarket pull system, then 2, Kanban, the autonomic nerve, 3, the 6 rules, 4, preventing overproduction waste, and finally 5, our summary and references. Now, our learning objectives for today are very precise. By the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to deeply understand pull-based production. You'll firmly grasp Ohno's brilliant autonomic nerve analogy. You're going to learn the 6 strict rules of Kanban. And most importantly, you'll walk away knowing how to apply Kanban to eliminate overproduction waste in your own environments. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the supermarket pull system. This is the inspiration behind it all. What's truly fascinating here is the timeline of this whole revelation. So following World War II, a lot of American products were flowing into Japan, and Ohno became absolutely fascinated by the concept of the American supermarket. As early as the late 1940s, his team was actively studying how supermarkets were set up. By 1953, they actually adopted the concept right there in Toyota's machine shop. But here's the crazy part. Ohno hadn't even seen a U.S. supermarket firsthand yet. That didn't actually happen until he visited America in 1956. And then, by 1962, this exact supermarket concept, managed through Kanban, had expanded company-wide at Toyota. Let me tell you, it took years of trial, error, and immense management courage to perfect. To really understand this, we have to draw a direct contrast. The conventional factory push system operates by having an earlier process continuously make and send products to a later process. And it does this completely regardless of the actual production requirements of that later process. It just pushes materials forward, which, you guessed it, creates massive mountains of parts. But a supermarket pull system, that works entirely in reverse. Think about it. In a supermarket, a customer goes to the shelf and picks up only what they need, exactly when they need it, and in the exact amount they need. Ohno realized that in a factory, the later process should act just like that customer, going to the earlier process, which is basically the supermarket shelf, to withdraw only the necessary parts. The earlier process then simply restocks exactly what was just taken. Pure brilliance. Moving on to section 2, Kanban, the autonomic nerve. This is where we look at Kanban as a reflexive system. So the crucial point here is how Ohno viewed a business organization. He actually compared it directly to the human body. In our bodies, the autonomic nerve causes us to salivate when we see tasty food, or it accelerates our heart rate during a tough workout. These reflexes happen totally unconsciously, without any direct command from the brain. You don't have to think about it. Well, Ohno wanted to install that exact same kind of autonomic nervous system right into Toyota's rapidly growing business. He envisioned a plant where workers could make autonomous decisions at the lowest possible level. Things like knowing exactly when to stop production or what sequence to follow without having to constantly run and consult the production control department, which essentially acts as the brain. And this is exactly where Kanban comes in. Kanban is defined as the operational tool of the Toyota production system. Literally translating to a signboard, it functions as that exact autonomic nerve connecting the entire production line. It's so much more than merely a piece of paper. It is the vital reflex nerve that carries critical information and allows the production body to automatically adapt to real-world changes, all without top-down interference. Let's actually take a look at the tool itself. What we have here is a sample of a parts ordering Kanban used at Toyota Motors. Typically, it's just a piece of paper contained in a rectangular vinyl envelope. But notice just how specific it is. It clearly displays the Ohashi Iron Works as the supplier, the exact delivery time, the specific storage area, and the item number for a radiator press part. It even tells the worker the exact capacity of the box and the receiving gate number. So at a single glance, this little card is acting as a precise work order, a withdrawal order, and a transfer order, all wrapped up into one simple tool. To break that down just a little bit further, the information on a Kanban essentially falls into three absolutely critical categories. First up, pickup information. What exactly is the later process taking? Second, transfer information. Where is it going and how is it moving? And third, production information. What does the earlier process need to build right now to replace what was just taken? By simply circulating this card, all the movements in the plant become completely unified. It completely replaces the need for massive, complex, top-down scheduling paperwork. It's a total game changer.
Let's move to Section 3, the 6 rules, because to make Kanban work, you need some serious discipline. You see, Ohno established a very strict framework. Rule 1, the later process goes to the earlier process and picks up the exact number of items indicated by the Kanban. Now, I want to emphasize that this requires immense courage from management to implement because it totally reverses the conventional flow of production. Rule 2, the earlier process produces items only in the quantity and sequence indicated by the Kanban. And Rule 3, absolutely no items are made or transported without a Kanban. Just think about it. These 3 rules alone completely stop the blind pushing of materials and establish supreme discipline on the factory floor. Now let's see how this builds with the final 3 rules. Rule 4, always attach a Kanban to the goods. It literally must travel with the physical items as a constant visual work order. Rule 5, defective products are never sent on to the subsequent process. And here's why that's so crucial. Because there is no extra inventory buffering the line, if a defect is passed on, the next process will immediately halt. So this rule forces the line to achieve 100% defect-free output. Finally, Rule 6, reduce the number of Kanbans over time. By carefully reducing the number of cards in circulation, you lower standard inventory. This increases the entire system's sensitivity, immediately revealing any hidden problems so they can be permanently fixed.
That brings us to Section 4, preventing overproduction waste. This is all about defeating our biggest enemy. Ohno identified several different types of waste in manufacturing, but he stated very clearly that the waste of overproduction is without a doubt our worst enemy. It's the most dangerous because it acts like a disguise. It hides all the other wastes. If you overproduce, you generate the waste of stock on hand. You waste precious time moving that excess stock around. You hide the waste of waiting because a worker might just build unneeded inventory just to look busy. Ultimately, making things early or just in case completely destroys true operational efficiency. I want you to really absorb this profound realization from Taiichi Ohno. He said, and I quote, "The word just in time means exactly that. If parts arrive any time prior to their need, waste cannot be eliminated." That's so powerful, right? Arriving early is not a virtue in the system. Arriving early simply means you are carrying intermediate workers and storing completely unnecessary inventory. In the world of flow, arriving early is just as detrimental as arriving late. Because Kanban acts as that autonomic nerve we talked about. It enables what Ohno called fine adjustment. Let's say daily demand shifts slightly, maybe from 6 car A's to 4 car B's. A line doesn't need detailed schedules beforehand for that. Kanban automatically handles these minor daily fluctuations simply because the production process is just following the information on the card. Now contrast this with schedule rigidity, which is super common in computer-driven push systems. Sticking stubbornly to a planned schedule for months while totally ignoring market reality basically acts like a planned economy. It forces massive, painful corrections later on, like having to do a sudden 30% production cut. Kanban's elastic, self-regulating nature beautifully prevents all of that.
All right, let's head into Section 5, summary and references, and capture our key takeaways.
Well, we have definitively fulfilled our learning objectives for this session. We've seen exactly how the supermarket analogy forcefully shifts operations away from a blind push to an intelligent pull. We now understand how Kanban acts as an autonomic nerve, allowing the factory body to react smoothly to changes without the brain constantly having to intervene. We learned the 6 strict rules that enforce this discipline, and we now know that when executed properly, the deadliest waste of all, overproduction, is entirely eliminated. Before we wrap up, I want to note that the insights shared in this explainer are drawn directly from the definitive source material. We want to acknowledge CRC Press, the publisher of the English edition, for their work in helping bring Taiichi Ohno's foundational thoughts to the global stage. And here is the formal citation for the book that made this Bodhi Unified Flow deep dive possible today. If you haven't read Ohno's original text, I can't stress this enough. It is highly recommended reading for any serious practitioner of operational excellence. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own workflows and your own teams tomorrow. Are your processes pushing materials blindly downstream, just hoping for the best? Or are they pulling exactly what is needed with the precise intelligence of an autonomic nervous system? Think about that and start looking for the waste you can eliminate today. Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and as always, keep refining your flow.